Everybody. Welcome everybody into the March 2023 regular meeting of the EGPOA Board of Directors. Patrick Cannell, President of the Board. We'll begin with the pledge, and then we're expecting our State Assembly member, Aileen Gunther, to join us. She's running a little bit behind. I spoke to her staff this morning, so she'll be here around 9:30 or so, but we'll kick off the meeting in the meantime and get done what we can, and then just take pause when the Assembly member comes. So with that, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. Just a reminder for board members particularly, I want to try to see what we can do to move our meetings along a little bit more efficiently. So I'm going to be a little bit more prickly this morning about enforcing our procedure that you please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. No cross talking, and please no side conversations. One, our secretary is Chris Loomis, is feeling a little bit under the weather, so he's by Zoom this morning going to be taking minutes, so it'll be really difficult for him to hear if we're all sort of cross talking and jumping in. Two, it hurts our recording, and then three, like I said, I hope to just make that enforce that so that our meetings can go a little bit more quickly. So first item is approval of the minutes from, actually, first item is to take roll call. Sorry, Chris?
Morning, everybody. Patrick?
Here.
Earl?
Here.
Dan?
Here.
Tom?
Here.
Joel? I see you on Zoom. Here. Arthur? Alana?
Here.
Alex?
Here.
Zach?
Here.
Hal?
Here.
Thank you.
We have a quorum ready to proceed. First voting item, this is tab 1 in your board book, board members, approval of the January 15, 2023 and February 16, 2023 regular meeting minutes. Anybody have any questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any recusals or abstentions? The motion passes. Our last regular meeting was focused solely on the entertainium, but that was a month ago. So we want to give you a quick update. We don't want to bog the meeting down with any minutia of what's going on with it, but I'll turn it over to Michael to give us a quick update and let us know how we're progressing.
We're progressing.
There we go.
Moving along, we're the gym equipment is in, of course. We're still waiting on a few contractors to finish the punch list up. It's got to be taken care of to get the CO. The elevator still has to be inspected. That was supposed to be inspected last Tuesday, but it snowed, so now we got to reschedule for that. And the floor, where Hal and I and Brittany met with the people that are going to be taking care of the floor. We're looking at sometime the paint being delivered sometime the first week in April. So we're moving along.
Melanie?
No, just along the same lines what Michael was saying. The paint will first be delivered to Poli first week in April. We're looking to get them in here maybe the second week in April. It's going to be probably a 10-day to 2-week job, so everything cures properly. So, really, you can't use the building while that's going on.
Any questions?
And
Yeah.
the office is open. We are located now in the new office. We did get the temporary CO on that side of the building. So the office is here.
I just had a question about the gym equipment, the fitness equipment. Weren't we supposed to leave 2 machines over at the pool house?
That was my understanding of the plan, so. I don't know.
Chris, something happened where they all got moved over. I think that was not what was planned.
Right.
So I don't know. Sorry.
So maybe Chris or Michael, do you know?
I
What
have
happened?
nothing really, we just opened the door for them. They had what they had to do.
I think it was done in error.
I think so too, but do we have a plan to address it?
Chris's hand is up. I think
Chris?
he'll have something for us.
the contract that we signed with Advantage was to leave two pieces in there. So they actually did more work than we paid them for. I wasn't on site the day they did the move. I don't know why they moved those two pieces of equipment. Again, they did work that they weren't contracted to do. So I mean, we can go back to the issue of the ADA issue. That equipment was never going to be in a good spot on that second floor. So, you know, I think I recognize the disappointment for members who are going to not have access to that equipment for a more extended period of time than we had hoped. But I think it probably was a necessary move in the bigger picture. But I don't know why they didn't move it or why they moved it.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's not what we told people we were gonna do. I think we should remedy it.
Alex?
Could we, is there any way we could, find some money to get some equipment in there? Not as, I don't think personally that we should move that from the, that place over there from the pool house. There's a lot of members that do use that. You hear it wherever, you know, that's what we hear. You can't ever please everybody, but we did say we're gonna leave some equipment there.
Joel has his hand up. Recognize Joel.
Okay, hi guys. Why don't we contact the contractor and say, you weren't supposed to move these two, you gotta come here and move two back.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is everyone okay with that?
we only contracted him to do X and he did Y. It was very nice of him to do Y, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't meet our needs and now it creates a problem. So I think we're within our rights to say, hey, come back, you gotta fix the problem for us, so it doesn't cost us any money.
I mean, we're making the assumption that they will push back by us be reaching out. Chances are we haven't reached out to them, let them know, hey, this was done in error.
Right.
90% chance that they will move it back. Are we clear what equipment needs to go back?
Actually, we got an A-farm facility. And we're learning about pennies,
That,
or buying equipment, or whatever.
But that's a
Well, that's a
separate
separate,
point.
right. I was gonna say that I was with you on that vote originally, but this is what we planned to do, so let's stick to the plan. We could always address, you know, stocking equipment back there in the next budget. But yeah, I don't know if anybody's reached out to Advantage to find out what they want to do about remedying.
Great. Sounds reasonable. Go
Can
ahead.
I ask what's supposed to be there?
I don't
Is
know.
it-
I think Chris probably
Is
does.
it a treadmill and a bike or what was?
Chris has his hand up. Hang on just a second, Dan. I recognize Chris, but Dan, Tom, and Alana both all want to comment. Chris, go ahead.
The equipment that was supposed to be left was the upright bike and one of the ellipticals.
Dan?
I understand the ADA compliance issue that we had with not being accessible. Is the downstairs currently being used in the pool house?
Only for the book club. And I'm saying only that I'm sure there's a few group of Mahjong players that get together and a group of card players that get together.
Would it be considered unreasonable for us to look into purchasing another elliptical and another bike outside of that, just to put, like, to Alex's point, at the pool house downstairs? Because that would probably be resolved a lot faster than waiting for Advantage to come and move equipment and then to move it back. And then we just keep going back and forth. Maybe just a bike and an elliptical on a permanent status over there.
Chris?
How about we start with the first step, which is reaching out to Advantage about what they did, and then kind of moving from there before we start spending more money. I mean, I have to say I'm a little disappointed that there wasn't supervision of our contractors on this, that it was a contracted job. So, you know, I mean, I'm sort of at a loss on why this happened, but I think the first step is just to reach out to them and ask them what's going on.
I agree.
That's fair.
Tom?
What are we doing with security at the moment?
That's a bigger conversation. Let Michael just sort of sum
The
that
reason I
up.
says, if the equipment's gone, which I saw was all here, what are they doing? Just because I know they're there like every day still. When I walk the dogs, I'm like, there's Carl, I don't know what he's doing, but I like
Just
Carl.
waving goodbye. Well, I like Carl too, but I don't think we need to pay him to sit there. There was an email that was sent out to you guys and we got a couple opinions that we should leave them there.
Okay.
So I don't think it's worth it.
I think those opinions were based on two pieces of equipment still being in the building.
And I
was
answered,
one-
I
I
answered
was
all
one
of
who
you
felt-
guys on
yeah,
that
right.
also. There was no equipment there.
Right.
So
I will,
let's call advantage, hang on a second, Lana, but we'll call advantage, see what we can do to rectify the situation, and then we'll keep the security issue on the front burner once we figured that out, because if they're gonna be two pieces of equipment there, maybe there is a need, and we should figure that out.
Chris, maybe when you speak with Advantage, you could also find out if he's got any used equipment.
I'll take care of it.
Okay,
That's the reason we're in what we're in, is because I didn't take care of it.
No worries.
So I'll take care of it.
no worries.
Okay, Ilana?
Just to clarify, the equipment was supposed to stay up there in the interim until this was open. Is that what we decided like 3 months ago? And then that
I
equipment
think-
was going to get moved.
I'll let Chris comment. My understanding was it was gonna be left there until the lease expired in 2024.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Chris?
Yeah, the equipment's on a 36-month lease. The lease expires next spring. And what we said in the proposal that we approved was that, we just didn't have the funds to support 2 fitness centers at the moment. I think we left it open in that proposal that next year, as with many things we've discussed, if the financial picture were to clarify and improve, that we could certainly look at leasing additional equipment and having stuff put back into the pool house. It wasn't a never or a no, it was a not now. So, when we get to the next budget cycle, we can certainly look at budgeting for additional equipment in there, but we have to budget for it.
But I just wanted to clarify, those 2 pieces were always going to be there until 2024?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Dan, and then I want to move on.
It was my understanding that they couldn't remain there because of the compliance piece.
They couldn't remain upstairs.
Yes, they couldn't remain.
They could be
So
downstairs.
we had already made the
in one spot.
decision to move equipment downstairs at that point.
Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they were gonna leave them upstairs, or were they gonna bring them down?
They weren't supposed to touch them. The whole point of us paying them was that they had to disassemble them to bring them down the stairs. So they weren't supposed to touch those 2 pieces of equipment.
All right, so maybe there's an opportunity in here to have them just leave them downstairs where we can.
And then the last piece, I'll get back with Michael during the week, see where we are financially, if we can make the decision on getting 2 more pieces of equipment. I don't think it would hurt, even if we did have to move the equipment back over to here, because we do still have some space for additional equipment.
Okay, and then, but as we're having that conversation, let's also think about the security and maintenance issue of having the 2 buildings open at the same time.
Yeah, well, if they already are right
As part of the
now.
cost. Yeah, okay.
Guys,
Wait.
I
Yes,
think
Joel?
you're okay. I think you're okay with the ADA issue because the whole purpose is you have access. If someone can't go up the stairs, they can go over to the entertainium and use the equipment that's over there. So I think that'll get you around the ADA issue. In regard to putting the equipment downstairs, I don't think it's going to work well because if you have those women, you have people playing mahjong or card games and things like that. I don't know if they're going to want people exercising and making noise. So it's just the thought that, if you're going to leave the stuff, leave it upstairs and that's that.
Okay, we'll double check the whole thing before it happens, but we'll let Michael do his thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
We're gonna move on. Item C is our management report and maintenance updates. First, I want to remind everybody in the community with great thanks to Hal Simon. We have an EGPOA merch site where you can buy some pretty cool branded stuff. It's www.promoplace, promoplace.com/Emerald Green. Hal, when is that open till and what's the ordering batch?
It's open until the end of the month. After that, the window will close, the store closes. Orders will go out probably 2 weeks after the store closes and they'll be sent individually. Just want to remind everybody, and I think we should put a link on the Emerald Green website to the web store.
Great idea.
But I just want to remind everybody that if you have any issues with any of the merchandise, Emerald Green, our office, is not running this. This is run by an outside vendor. So please use the contact information that's there on the website. I don't anticipate any problems, but I also don't want to bother the office with this. This is why we set this up this way.
And once the orders go out, will we get a little bit of a feedback in terms of how that went and whether we might want to do this again in the future?
Yeah, I think definitely. The plan now is that we will do it in the future. It's open for a month. We're going to open it up again probably in June. That'll be for a month, and then once in the spring. So right now we're planning on 3 times during the year, 1 month at a time.
Great. Any questions? Earl?
I think that's great. Can we probably need to craft up some verbiage and get over to Brittany, and Brittany can run it out. I think that's important as well. as putting it on the website.
We've done that once, and I know Britt sent a reminder and posted to our social media reminder right for this
Right.
meeting. If you feel there's a need to do it again, let me know or let Brittany know. Okay.
Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I'm just trying.
Wouldn't hurt. I would say maybe a week before it's going to close, we send that out again
Exactly.
and say, hey, you know, last chance on this go round.
Yeah,
Okay.
But the stuff looks good. I think, you know, and it's great community pride.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. It's a really cool thing.
Just one question
Yes.
with that. Do people's orders ship once they place them, or it ships once the?
It ships
store-
after the store is closed.
after the store's closed?
Yes.
Okay. Michael, any management and maintenance updates for us?
No, it's mostly been the entertaining stuff and we've been working on our audit.
Want to move on to our insurance renewal. Our insurance expired at the end of February. So between our last board meeting and now, the board had to take an interim action and approve the renewal of our insurance. I should have the costs a little bit more handy. You have it there. Dan, if you wouldn't mind reading that out. Our premium jumped several tens of thousands of dollars. But I want to make sure that we have a vote recorded, so we'll formally vote on that.
So the majority of our coverage went up under the umbrella policy. So our umbrella policy went from what was budgeted for $18,000 to $41,000, a difference of $23,591. General insurance went up by 5,000. DNO went up by 4,000. Total increase of $33,000.
And just to explain to the community members, the largest chunk of that increase was in our excess, or what they call umbrella insurance, for our general liability and property and commercial insurance. That's a function of the markets, the insurance markets right now. It has nothing really to do with our association as a risk, which hasn't changed much. There are 1 or 2 claims out there certainly that didn't help. But the reality is the excess markets in New York State are pulling back. So they're offering less coverage for more money. We're not in a unique position, unfortunately. And that's what we were presented with this year for renewal. We are sort of workshopping how to improve a couple pieces of our insurance, both in terms of our coverages and limits and such. But we're also looking to realign our renewal dates. So as I mentioned, our insurance renewed at the end of February, but we budget in October, November or so now. So it's not helpful for us to go through that budgeting cycle without having real premium proposal numbers. So we're going to ask our brokers this year to see what they can do to try to get us on a cycle where if we're not even renewing by the end of the year, by the budget cycle, at least we're moving our renewals up a little bit so that we can, the process can back in, we'll have a proposal with real firm numbers when we're budgeting. So we have, you know, a real picture of what we're trying to deal with here. I think that makes practical sense. So
Hey, Pat, I wouldn't change the date of February because I was thinking about that. And the reason why they probably did it is because the dues come in January, and then we have the money to pay the bill in February because it's a big bill. You know,
I think that's, I'm not sure if that's historically why it is that way, but I I would think we could figure out how to get around that. And again, I think it's more important that we have budgeted a realistic expectation in the numbers.
Joel, it used to be worse because our dues used to come in May.
Oh.
So it was even worse years ago because we were looking almost a year in advance, so. Yeah, this will work out much better towards more closer to renewal.
Okay, I just don't want to get you caught with a quick case of the shorts.
I think it's important for homeowners to also understand that the increase was 24%. Overall increases on insurance right now is probably averaging around that, maybe a little bit more. The board and its management did do everything in its power to try and find alternatives to leverage this, but there was just not much you can do. I mean, it's just a bill that we have to pay. Good, Alex.
Does our insurance every year, does it go up by what percentage, or does it usually stay the same?
It
Depends on the
usually
market.
Yeah, and, you know, you had a lot of,
So, can we make it so that we could just move on from this? We could make our budget for an additional, let's say, 10%. And if it comes in at that high, fine. If it doesn't, then we still say.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. And
Oh, okay, so I just want to figure out, I'm not sure. We could go 20%.
think the number that initially threw out was like 10 to 12%.
Okay, so let's move to 20.
Well, we expected an increase.
We just didn't. expect
We
that.
didn't expect this big of an increase, but
Well,
I think.
the whole thing is changing. It's a-
Right, and I think you're 100% right, but what Patrick was saying, if we start this process earlier, right before we start our budgeting process, we'll have a better idea what we're looking at.
Well, I think, lessons learned. I mean, we know now, and I think to your point, Alex, now we will now make adjustments accordingly for it. Yeah. The variables are outside of.
I mean, it's a lot of money, obviously, so as a board, we're gonna have to try to find that money someplace else in the budget.
Yeah. Just so everyone's on the call, Patrick is going to get the state rep. She just got here, so.
Yeah, she parked on the other side, so we
in this instance, we have this down as a board vote, so we will need to wait for Patrick so we can continue to vote on that. Does anybody else have any questions or concerns as far as the insurance goes? And I know Zach, for instance, was a big help in trying to help us resolve this, but anybody got anything regarding?
I think
the
it's just
insurance?
important to note that we.
Chris is not.
Chris has a hand up for the insurance. Wanna unmute him?
Sorry, Chris, go ahead, and then we're gonna introduce the assembly member.
I was just going to echo Hal's point. That increased cost on the premiums makes it really important that we have a concrete plan to remedy that overage elsewhere in the budget. And that we identify specific areas for savings that allows us to stay within our means on the operating budget. That's all.
Are we prepared to take a formal vote and then we can take our pause? Okay,
Yeah, are we waiting?
okay. Can I get a motion?
Aye.
And second, Alex, I saw your hand go up. That's the second.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Sorry?
I didn't hear what.
Motion to vote on the current. insurance
Formally
policy.
approving what we've already done in terms of the renewal. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. All right, we're going to take a pause and welcome Assemblymember Ellen Gunther,
How do you do?
representing the 100th Assembly District, our area here. Thanks, Assemblymember, for coming. I thought it would be nice to have our local elected officials come and interact with our community, both just so we can forge good relationships, but also because I know folks in our community have a lot of questions that I think our local elected officials can help you with. Their constituent services and their teams and their staffs are amazing and a great resource for people. But I thought we could hear from you, Assembly Member, maybe just an update for the district, what's going on budget wise.
Well, first and foremost, my name is Aileen Gunther. I live in Forestburg, New York. I've been originally from New York City. And I moved up here years ago with my husband Jacob, who passed away, unfortunately. And in very quick time. This is Rachel Steingard. Rachel has been a resident of Sullivan County for her whole life.
49 years.
So Rachel is in the office and she manages all questions that come in. Our office is a little bit different than most. There's no pecking order, I would say. And what happens is that we deal with, first of all, I deal with the assembly side, which is legislation, bringing back capital money back to the district. And then we have discretionary money if there's small projects that need to be done in communities. Usually, like, I get around 1.5 million for capital programs, and that we can use in the community. And then we always get discretionary money for things like we have boys and girls clubs, things like that. So I fight for as much money as I could possibly get. I've been doing this for quite a long time and love what I do. And I guess I'll let you ask questions as far as legislatively. I'm always up to hear suggestions if you need them. We do local legislation, statewide legislation. And Abe Rachel's in the office Monday through Friday. She leaves a little early on Friday because she's observant. And so you can call anytime, you can stop in. And I guess I'll let you ask questions. You know, we've never had an ask from Emerald Green regarding any capital money.
Okay.
We've never had any ask about that, like for building like a children's center, or sometimes, you know, you want to have a playground for a child or something that's community-wide. You know, I can't give it to you individually for your home, but.
I am sure, Assembly Member, we can come up with a
Definitely.
long list of ideas, and we'd be happy to work with you on that. I know one resource we have that can benefit from state intervention is our dams and waterways. So that may be something that our Lakes Committee, our board has a number of
Different
standing and ad
committees.
hoc committees, including people who's really focused their expertise, and we have a really outstanding group of folks who work on our Lakes Committee and
There is
pay attention
money
to it.
available for things like that.
That's
You
great.
know, I mean, you can make it simple, stupid. You basically ask for the amount of money for a project that you're doing. And then what we do is I prevent to, we have a guy named Blake Washington who actually grew up in Sullivan County. He's everything money and, hello. Did your wife punch you again? Oh, I didn't see, I'm sorry, my back is to you. I'm very sorry, my back is to you. We've known each other for many, many years. So as far as capital money, discretionary money is more like on the $20,000 level. You know, you might ask for, usually they give us close to $200,000 to $300,000 that we spread across the district. I have all of Middletown, all of Walk Hill, and all of Sullivan County. It's about 150,000 people. So I'm also, I have some seniority. And I also have a big mouth. I'm from the Bronx.
What committees are you on?
I'm on health, NCON, I'm chair of mental hygiene, I'm on racing and wagering. So, which stuff that really is important to our district.
Sure. I want to let folks ask questions of the Assembly Member. I do have one that I think I speak for a lot of folks in our community. NYSEG, we're having a lot of problems with billing irregularities. Some people not getting bills for months at a time.
For months, and they get a $2,000 bill.
Yeah, or getting bills with estimated usage. They're all over the place. I know I've personally dealt with this and have spent countless hours on the phone trying to work through these issues. Michael and our office team on the association side have had the same issue and problem. It seems to be pretty systemic with NYSEG, and I just wonder what at the state level you might offer for constituents and for customers.
So I deal with that pretty much on a regular basis, so we could either do it collectively through the association, where you send me all of the names and the addresses, the account numbers, and we will deal with it that way, or individually, each constituent can call us and we'll do each one separately, but we'll take care of it.
We
Great.
also might be able to get a rep from NYSEG to come and speak to you.
But that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
That would be very helpful. We would get quite the turnout for that too. Rachel, what's the phone number?
845-794-5807. That's her Monticello office right here.
Okay.
Monday through Friday, we're open by 9.
Yeah, and we're done by 5, so. But we'll get you, we have a government liaison that we deal with through NICEAG, so we have a different avenue because of Aileen, and we'll get that addressed.
Is it fair to say this is not the first time you've heard this?
No. And it's not necessarily, so some, like, we just had a constituent, a senior citizen in her 90s that just got a $16,000 bill. It was an error. So it was something that she was calling and you get looped in, and unfortunately, a lot of these big companies, when you call the main number, it takes a while to get through. But it was cleared up quickly, and some of it is a usage thing, and then they level it off. So they're basically evaluating maybe a couple of years, or there's been a change in their usage, but then they level it off and then it goes back to a normal price point. We just, personally, I had a $900 bill and I had to pay it, but it leveled back off again.
Okay.
So I don't know the logistics, my husband dealt with it, but it did fix itself.
But a
So
lot of people, when they get that bill,
Yeah,
I mean,
They don't
they're
know.
traumatized.
particularly the elderly
Yeah,
folks who
yeah,
don't
it's
have that.
understandable.
Can you imagine getting a
Understand,
bill
yeah.
like that and you're on social security?
And I think a lot of
Maybe
folks in our
pension.
community may be feeling that way. So if you feel lost, you feel like you don't know what to do, please do contact Rachel, contact the Assembly Member's office to try to get some help.
845, you can write it down because you're doing minutes.
And we are recording this
Yeah.
and we post our meetings to YouTube.
845-794-5807.
What we could do is we could possibly look into a collective, maybe if people would rather send their information.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, but
And
I think-
we'll also ask if they want to come and speak, because it's such a large group,
Mhm.
maybe they would send.
A collective,
Yeah,
a collective might get a bigger.
No, I think it's, in other words, if you want us to call them regarding your bill, I think it separately is better. Because we
Okay.
have to, because we need separate names, bills,
Right.
and then the issues.
How-
So it's better to do it that way.
sorry.
I just want to thank the Assemblywoman for coming. She does a fabulous job for our area. I see you brought money into the bike trails, and I want to thank you because Fortress Bikes. So I certainly appreciate that, and I hope to see more of that expansion.
Well, most of that is your own money. It's capital money. So with the money the capital money, we try to put it in places that have the most impact on the most amount of people. And we've been working with Bethel Woods for a while on some of those issues. And unfortunately, we lost a great person in our government center that we worked with. And we don't know why, when, or how. but Freda Eisenberg, do you know who she is?
I didn't know she left. Wow, that's very sudden.
Yes.
We don't know why. I mean, there's actually 3 people that I think were very valuable that have left.
Well, I wanted to thank you for that, and just to recognize that we've met before at those functions. But for Emerald Green, I think somebody will reach out to the office about any funds that might be available for the dam projects and our waterways. But also, you mentioned that
Who would be
you're,
if you call, who would be the point person on that?
I imagine Rich, right?
I do, Michael will,
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Hoyt will be the point.
Okay.
Come to me first, and then I can figure out what we're going and what the ask is, and, because we've been through a lot of this all
There
before.
might be money available in the budget.
Mhm.
So we're doing the budget right now. Basically, the most important thing you can do as far as budget, right now, we're putting our asks in, and I can ask Lake Washington. So I would say expedite your ask. Is it, who owns is it a state, like who owns the dam? Is it
Emerald Green.
Emerald Green? Okay,
Right.
so
And we
who would be the person that would ask for, assistance in?
Emerald Green,
Michael Hoyt.
Michael Hoyt, that may be.
So is
Okay.
it Emerald Green, it's through the HOA, it's through the Emerald.
It's
Green,
all
not-
private.
So some of
Yeah,
that
so that's
runs into
where-
an issue.
Where we're getting funding and stuff because it's
It's
private.
not, it has to be through the
We-
municipality
Right.
or a not-for-profit.
We've tried maybe even giving, back when Tony was in there, giving the dam, just the dam portion of the lake over. But we would have to make the lake public and either, It was a big,
Where does the water run to? Never sink?
yeah, it goes down into.
So that might work in that sense even, because it's a state.
Spillway.
This down here, Davies Lake, we may be able to get something from because the town sewer runs into that.
So call Gene, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
That
Joe,
was-
but
We'll get you connected with the.
I did have a follow-up, because you mentioned that you were on Energy Committee also.
No energy.
No, I thought that's what
No,
you said. I'm
no,
sorry.
no energy.
Okay.
NCON. you know,
NCON.
that's
Environmental conservation.
Conservation, not,
So
Energy is completely.
would it be
different.
tied
But
in?
it doesn't make any difference. You can still have an ask to energy.
sure.
And then what you do is you go to the speaker and Blake Washington, and I don't know what you're gonna ask for, but, you know, we usually are pretty successful.
Okay, so would it be tied in? We were thinking about maybe some solar panels to benefit the community on a piece of property that we have.
That, you know, because of, you know, environmental conservation that would come out of it, there might be some money there from NCON that you could use for something like that, because they want, you know, they want to see that all over.
What about NYSERDA? Have you reached out to them?
It's just conception. We
So
haven't done any
there's also
work yet.
money through NYSERDA. There's money through, I think, the USDA. For that, we just dealt with this with another group. So if you call, we'll connect you with the right people to see what you can get for those panels.
Okay, great.
I want to recognize Joel, and then I'm not sure if it's Marcy or Brad, or Marcy and Brad who wants to speak. Joel, you first.
Good morning, Councilman. For the phone number we can reach Blake at, is he at your number or do we need another number?
You have to go through our office to reach Blake. I usually, you know, you have to go through my office too.
No problem. And that's
Yeah.
845-794-5807 is that number.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent,
And
thank you.
and it's always important to put something in writing because you know, you speak to them and then you want to make sure you have paperwork behind so they can look it over and they'll know it's there. So you always have to have everything in writing.
Good point.
Excellent, thank you.
Marcy, thanks, Joel. Marcy or Brad?
Yes, good morning. And Rachel, good morning. This is the Marcy that you know from all sorts of things independent living. So I just wanted to add a thought regarding the lake, that even though it is a private lake, our water company is a public utility. And it is drinking water for a large number of people. So that might be, yes.
Jean is your point person there, and she'll have all that at her fingertips. She knows how to navigate she handles all of Aileen's money, so we'll get you guys hooked up.
Great. Thanks, Rachel. Okay, good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcy. Anybody here? Yes, ma'am.
Hey, it's disappointing to see that the free lunches was not even part of the governor's budget. And as a nurse, you know how important school meal, meals
I
are.
do,
to
and you know
children.
what, we're still lobbying for that.
Okay.
So right now it's a three-way. It's got the Senate, the Assembly, and we have the governor's budget. And now the show goes on. You know, it's because you were lobbying for extra money for mental hygiene, which you know is very important. We don't have, you know, enough social workers in school. We hear about what's going on in the schools. There's violence, all those kinds of things. And we're lobbying to make sure that, you know, after school programs and everything. So it's a three-way agreement. And right now on Monday, we're starting the three-way agreement. If you can watch it online, I know that I'm like 11 o'clock in mental hygiene. Because she did give us a very good budget this year in mental hygiene, which is good. And now we have to figure out how you're going to divvy it out.
It made such a difference, you know, during COVID when the kids, you know, they didn't have to worry about where their meals were going to be because for so many of our, you know, certainly our population, but throughout, you know, state, you know, it's a big issue. So thank you for fighting for that.
I have all teachers in my family. My son is a teacher down in New York City on the Lower East Side. My sister Noreen is a speech pathologist. My other niece is down in the city and she's a literacy and special ed. So, and my mom was too, so we're a long line of teachers.
Great. Any other questions for the Assembly member? Tom?
Hi, it's Tom. So, what can you talk a little bit about bringing more jobs or things to Sullivan County? You know,
Can I, well, First of all, I would say there's a lot of openings as far as jobs are concerned right now. I mean, we see, I know there's a lot of controversy about the issue at Sullivan County Community College. You know, they're bringing folks that have migrated, you know, they're immigrants because of a lot of jobs that are open in the area. You know, I don't really get involved. It's in local kind of issues. But I mean, we have, you know, there's a lot of job openings here. A lot of job openings in the hospital and places. And, you know, I mean, we have job fairs. We bring that in the area.
People don't want to work. There's jobs, but they don't want to take them. So,
I mean, the hospital has jobs, you know, there's jobs, you know, at the Center for Discovery. I mean, you have a background check because you're working with people, but there are jobs here. And, you know, those are jobs with medical insurance, you know, and they aren't jobs like ShopRite, they're better paying jobs. And, you know,
They can't fill.
and they can't fill them.
Eileen's fighting for wage increases, and that's also key to getting people into those positions. Do you want me to talk about that low income housing meeting that we had?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there was a meeting that we had. Part of the problem is housing here. There's not enough low to middle income housing. So it's a long-term fix, but the county and the supervisors, mayors, they're, you know, Aileen kind of spearheaded that meeting with Evergreen and Monticello. Even if people were to come here and take those jobs from out of the area, there's nowhere for people to live. The pandemic sucked up all the housing, and it's not even.
And the
year-round.
prices have increased dramatically.
Rents are going up. We're trying to increase the price that the state pays to supplement people for their housing, because our community is still at the lowest end of that supplementation. But we are working with landlords to create more housing for people to live in. That's normal, not slumlords, not.
Like Jonah Mendelbaum behind ShopRite, he does a fabulous job.
Golden Ridge.
Oh, yeah.
He really does a fabulous job. They're low income. They have people that have like mental health issues in there, that they have handicaps, veterans. We have a guy that comes to us every day, sits with us every day, doesn't have any family, but it's a really clean, nice, safe
It is.
place. So those are the kinds of communities we want to build. You know, however, on the other side of town, there are, I mean, we had a horrible thing that somebody sent us, they anonymously, and the fighting, I mean, they were just beating that living hell out of a young girl, 2 young people just beating them and running away laughing, and an older woman taped it and sent it to us. It was shocking.
And
It was
housing
absolutely
development.
shocking.
So those are the things that people want to get away from and live well. But
They're
the
afraid to
center-
come out of their
The
apartments.
center's trying to hire quite a bit of people and they can't find anyone to take the jobs. The hospital's looking for staff. You call any restaurant, they're short-staffed. And it's, the jobs are there, they run the gamut, they run the price points of what you want to make or what you're capable of doing. And
I mean, the
people are not
hospital
working.
has insurance, the whole 9 yards. And, you know, there's also room for, you know, growing in those positions, but it's tough with, you know, and as far as the nursing program, Sullivan County Community College is chock full, and so is Orange County Community College, but where are they going? We are educating them and they're leaving in the area.
Strange problem. Brain drain.
But we're working to try to fix it. It's just gonna take time.
Thank you.
Do you have a stance on the proposed warehouse project here or distribution center here in Rock Hill?
No, and I'll say no,
Okay.
because it's a community. And I think that, Billy, you're a supervisor. I think that when I pass a bill for mental health or something like that, I always talk to the people that, you know, how do they feel about the bill? And I think, how do you feel about it? Is it a good thing? It's going to increase the traffic. You know, do we have road capacity? Is there something about, you know, is it, I don't know what kind of construction it'll be, but I mean, it certainly will create jobs. And
How do you guys feel about it?
I'm gonna defer, I'm gonna defer to Michael, but wait for Michael Hoyt to leave
Looking
the
at
building.
multiple warehouse industrial projects, including manufacturing sites that are gonna produce something in the order of 1.3 million square feet of space. These projects are being evaluated individually without combining them together, look at the impact on traffic, the impact on pollution, and it's gonna have a significant adverse effect if all these projects are approved. There's two in Bridgeville on a current planning board. One's at 500,000 square feet, the other one is unknown so far. The Avon Park project, which is 500,000 square feet, we're looking at in excess of 1 million square feet. And the builders and the developers are not willing to tell you in advance what's gonna go inside these properties. So we may have heavy duty manufacturing, we have pollution, but certainly we're gonna have significant adverse effects on traffic. No one's done a study of looking at traffic patterns in the summer. Everybody's looking at the winter, because all these studies have been done by the developer, not by other parties. So we're gonna have a traffic jam on our roads until the highway expands, and that's another set of stories. For years, in the summertime, we're gonna lose tourist activity, we're gonna lose a lot of people, because you won't be able to get in through the traffic.
But have you asked the supervisor to do a traffic study?
Yes, we have, and they've done studies of each project by themselves and not putting it together. They're not amalgamating them.
so, you know, we can talk to Billy Reaver about it.
He knows our name. It's part of the LCA, Lake Community Alliance. So we talk
What
to
about
him.
the chair of the legislature too?
Well, we have a lot of activities. We're in court and judicial proceedings as well on these issues. But at the end of the day, the process is each project is evaluated on their own without considering other projects in a nearby
I
area.
agree with you. I agree completely. I mean, we love Sullivan.
We'll send you
County.
material.
We love Sullivan County and we moved here and we bought second homes here for a reason. And, you know, I think Mr. Doherty, you know, it's not all about money. It's not all about money. It's about the quality of life.
Exactly.
And, you know, we're just talking right now about the fact that we don't have enough homes for the people that live here. So, I mean, everything that you build has an impact on something else. You have to look at the big picture.
Exactly. You have to combine these projects. You have to evaluate the next project, not by itself, but what it does to the aggregation of your project. We're gonna have over 250 truck bays alone in the area within 3 miles of our area.
And the traffic on 17 right now in the summertime is unbelievable.
And these trucks will
The roads are in
going up the
the head
hill
shape
and down
to
the hill,
begin
getting out of
with.
Suffolk County. They go into first gears, they can't get through. These roads can be totally stopped in the summertime.
And what
You
about
can
the
write
air,
that in this, because it's gonna happen.
what
I
about the
think-
air quality?
Their quality is also gonna be out.
I think there was a greater focus on the overwhelming amount of sewage that was
Thank you.
Well, we'll talk about
overwhelming.
sewage in a minute. I have.
So
I'll give you-
that was the sticking point with where the LCA was coming from, is because our sewage plant,
So what does Billy Reaver say about it?
he can,
Billy Reaver is generally pro-development. And the reality is, we have not gotten an adequate response from the town planning board or the town itself. And they generally go ahead with the process. I think the big fear we all have, which we don't talk about, is what's gonna happen to gambling up here when we have casinos built in New York City.
I think
And
it's
that's
gonna
gonna
have
have
a big impact.
Big impact, and everybody's trying to protect the future by adding other employers.
You know, the funny thing is, in the beginning, they did not want that near New York City. They did not want that near, and I think it's Gary Pretlow, he's kind of pushing it forward. And for us, it was for economic development, and it was for jobs, because we didn't have a lot. And now, everybody wants to jump in on the bandwagon.
Right.
And I'm opposed to it, because it will hurt us. And the water park that they built, and it's in such a beautiful spot, it is. And you know what?
But it won't be around 10 years from now.
Well, I won't be, and it actually helped other hotels in the area, it helped Bethel Woods, it helped, as we built Bethel Woods and all these little projects, they all came together and one helped the other. And now, if they start putting it in New York City, and you know what, they always say about gambling, that it preys on the poor. And where are you putting it in New York City?
Incidentally, the only people who are making money out
I'm
of
too
it
cheap.
are us, those are Chinese folks. They send their grandparents into the day. They able to collect $30 to $40 in chips, and they don't gamble, just go home and sell the chips out.
I know, they come and they have a little shopping bags.
Exactly. But anyway, I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No, but I mean, we'll talk to Billy about it.
But I mean, I think one of the things that I think Aileen does very well is gets people together to speak in an open, that would be your best bet, is Billy Weaver willing to have an open meeting?
And Dory
We
is
can
part
on
of
the
it.
phone and decide.
Okay.
And
DOT.
And
Just to
Dory is part of it
be
too.
clear,
I mean,
so
they're
the-
saying, come, but I don't know if they're thinking about what come in 10 years looks like.
Wait,
or
this
summertime.
I think they
I
also.
would just say, just to be clear, our board takes no position
No.
policy wise one way or
This is-
another on
you
this.
wanna
The
know
parties are in
facts.
litigation. I'm sure
it's
the
in
town has a
litigation.
viewpoint.
Okay.
So just making sure that's
This is the
clear.
advertisement for the planned project in the Avon Park in Rockville. Look what the developers are talking about. That's what they want to do.
This is Robert Berman's project.
Yes.
Yes.
And by the way, they're never gonna build it, because when you speak to the broker, I told them as a customer, I want to look at the property. It's $16.8 million asking price. They don't want to build it. They just want to sell a fully approved project and get it off their hands. And then who's gonna be fully approved? Manufacturing. What kind of manufacturing? What kind of industrial facility is gonna be there? That's part of the problem. No one's willing to identify what's going on, and the sewer problem is gonna be immense. We'll talk about that later.
Aren't these things vetted in town board meetings?
They are a planning board meeting, which
It's not-
is why Mr. White had to excuse himself.
Very good.
Leslie,
Okay.
hang on, I want to recognize you, but first Hillary had her hand up on the Zoom. Brittany, can you help unmute? Hillary, if you'd like to unmute,
Yes,
Great.
can you hear me?
you can.
Yes, and thank you, Assemblywoman, for being there. And just to build on the discussion that's been happening, personally, as a part of the Lakes Community Alliance, there have been opportunities for the public to speak on this issue. And boy, have we spoken. And thousands of letters have been written and people have protested. And personally speaking, I feel that our voices are just going unheard. And I think that Marcy and Brad will attest to this too, that we've been very vocal about this and feel like it just doesn't matter. So I just want to put that in as well, that there has been a unified community outrage over what's going on, but our voices don't seem to be heard.
So has Bill Reaver come here like I'm here today? Has
Not
he
yet,
come?
but to be fair, you're the first we've
Uh-huh.
invited, so.
But I will,
Because if you
I will
want to have that
continue.
conversation, we'd like to be here to listen to it.
Okay.
too.
Yeah, and let me just finish by saying.
wasn't responding.
Kathy?
Let me just finish by saying, additionally, when we have shown up at not only planning boards, but town board meetings, our answers have, our requests to discuss this on the record have been shut down. And it is really just glossed over as it's not appropriate for this time. And I just don't feel like the public has been given the consideration that clearly many of these various lake communities share. That's it. Thank you for being there.
Thank you, Hillary. Leslie, I want to recognize you, then Marcy, but I want to be respectful of the assembly members' time too. So I know we could talk about this issue for days. But
Oh, sorry.
This quite all right. Thank you.
I'm sorry, my back is too.
That's quite all right. My name is Leslie Askin Halpern. I wanted to say something regarding the jobs and the housing. I know that there is slumlords out there, but the housing, the housing renting, the landlords, or at least some of the good ones, are having a hard time being willing to just rent to anybody because they'll destroy the place. And in reality, in New York State, landlords have no rights at all. I have a friend that has a few houses and a trailer park, and she keeps those places impeccable, gives them services and everything. And she had a couple of renters that didn't pay for 2 years. She has to replace.
Well, it's during
everything.
COVID, but I think the eviction's gonna be changing.
They destroyed the place and she still have to be, put a new refrigerator, new roof, yada, yada. So that's, that is one of the hurdles that Sullivan County will have to address regarding housing. And meaning Sullivan County having a voice to Albany regarding landlord's rights.
Mhm.
With regards to jobs, as an employer, I have a sign by my road for
What is your business?
Blues and Environmentals. And we have a sign there. I have hired people with no driver's license because I needed a laborer. We do a lot of contracts with prevailing wages, so they make very good money. But still, you know, I have to hire people with no license, and I need an environmentalist. Sullivan County College doesn't offer an environmental program. We're offering like making music, you know, like editing or whatever, making music. Like we're having such a big hub for artists and musicians here, but we need an environmental program. I need drivers.
Have you spoken to the president of the college at Sullivan?
We have reached out to them. We have reached out to SUNY Newport. I
And
need a
Chris from Orange
mechanic.
County?
Yes, I need a mechanic. We can't find one. I have posted everywhere.
Like BOCES and all those places?
No one, not even one bite. So, yes, the jobs are there. You're 100% right, but people do not want to work.
Well, they're gonna come to a rude awakening pretty soon because a lot of these different programs are gonna stop.
But that's the, you know, if we keep enabling them with all these social programs, we as taxpayers are the one paying for that. It's not free. Nothing is free in life. So how are you going to advocate for us, to Albany, to stop with all these social programs that are not building up our county?
Well, I think that there's enough of us up there that realize that the jobs are out there and no one's taking them. And a lot of the programs are going to end, aren't going to end. I mean, some of them, you know, we had so many landlords call us during the time we had a person that was going to work every day that never paid his.
Yep.
And now people owe thousands and thousands of dollars.
But
And
then
our
social services, for the most part, is helping the infirmed and the elderly. Not, if you look at the ratios,
Can't make
that
it
is the
work.
biggest
You can't.
chunk. The folks that are going through social services within the county, they have to go through workforce development. They have to go through a process. The county, unless they're disabled, they really do have to go through that, or they lose their social services. So the pandemic offered a lot of assistance, and like Ian said, that's running out. It's not there anymore. So people are going to have to start that momentum again of going through the proper channels to maintain what they have. We deal with a lot of people that are sanctioned, that don't want to go through the channels, and they get nothing. They go to the food banks and they are put up in emergency shelters in the winter months. But they're not getting the help through the county without doing what they need for their part. In terms of workforce, you know, have you spoken with Bob before? Because a lot of the things that you need, he has through his programs at BOCES, and he's the superintendent of schools and oversees BOCES and deals with all these apprenticeship programs. I don't know if he covers CDL licensing, but he might have an avenue for you. But a lot of the things, mechanics, and they all come through BOCES, and those students are ready to work. So
I
it's
hope
a good,
something changes because, you know, jobs are there and I don't have it.
reach out to Bob before I if you call me, I can get you in touch with him. He's a great guy.
All right.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Marcy?
Thank you. I'd like to thank Hillary for her comments, and I'd like to add a little bit to that. There were hundreds and hundreds of letters written to Bill Reber and the planning board and the town board. And they actually had the audacity to say, well, they're all redundant. They all say the same thing, so we're going to discount them. They refuse to let people speak at meetings. We request that our comments go on record. They have not been on record. Bill Reber personally to us directly said he's very strongly in favor of this mysterious Avon industrial development project with no question. They're proposing an extension to the sewer, which would only have the capacity for 4,000 gallons a day, which is ludicrous when you consider the square footage and the size of the project that they're proposing. We had over, or just about 300 signatures, excuse me, of community members were opposing that. They tried to discount them and delegitimize them by some little trick of saying that because I witnessed a lot of them and it was my maiden name that I wasn't a legitimate homeowner. There are things afoot that I think are of great, enormous concern, that are hugely detrimental to the community, and that are completely discarded and disregarded. There was no environmental impact study required. The applicant simply made checks in the check boxes, and the planning board said, okay, fine. No sound problem with up to 350 diesel tractor trailer trucks during peak hours. No problem. No air quality problem. Okay, no problem. And it's just absolutely accepted at the applicant's word. We have done a lot of fundraising, and we, I'm afraid, will have to continue unless Aileen Gunther and her office can intervene on our behalf, to raise funds from community members to take these matters to court, to try to fight to keep our quality of life, as Aileen so eloquently said, and the environment and the quality of this beautiful, peaceful community that we all love to live in, that we want to work in, that we want to stay in. For the agribusiness, I'm on the board of Cornell Cooperative as well. For the ecotourism, for all of the things that Sullivan County is known for, not a dirty, industrial, unlivable place. So I've taken a lot of time. Thank you.
All right, well, what I have to do is I have to talk to Bill Reaver, and I think I can't talk for him, and ask him if we can do another meeting like this and sit, and maybe you can be here, but I'll do what I can to see what information I can get from Bill.
Thank you so much.
It's better like the firehouse, so we can invite the whole community. It isn't just Emerald Green, it's Lake Louise Marine, it's all the Rock.
Are they all in opposition?
We have members on our team that are all in opposition to this project.
Okay.
So it's a greater community. It shouldn't be just an Emerald.
They're operating under the lake committee's. umbrella.
Any effort on your part would certainly be
Yeah, I think-
greatly
Yeah, so
appreciated.
what-
Coordinating a
so
town
who
hall
would
might
we
be a
call?
good way to go.
I would think you'd call Michael Gutnick, right
So
here.
we'll take your number and everything so that you can be the leader of the pack.
I just want to say a few things because it's my job to do what I need to do for Aileen. It's in litigation, you're saying.
Yes,
So by law, our office can't get involved in anything that's in the courts.
we've actually lost in the courts.
Okay, but it's still in the courts.
Well, one is going through an appeal process, but for example, the project over here and the new warehouses are just the beginning stage.
Okay, so we also fall under jurisdiction of home rule, where the municipality is the oversight, not the
Yes.
assembly office.
Right.
But, like Aileen said, she'll call Bill and let's
I
just
mean, you
start
need
the
a conversation. You'll need a conversation.
Michael, what's
You
your-
know, and I think that, NCOM is also important, the environmental issues, the water issues. That's Bobby Berman's piece of property, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, from a board perspective, I think our concern, and it's not selfish, is
646,
this will impact
431.
No, but
our
his
sewage.
concern is selfish.
Yeah, no, this will impact our sewage. So we have all talked about how can we proactively look at ensuring that whatever's done, if something's done, it takes into consideration the potential impact of the Emerald Green water, because that impacts our community.
Our sewage plant is already real close to capacity.
Exactly.
And when you put some of this other burden on there, it's gonna be completely
Also, the
overwhelmed.
sewage plant was designed for residential and light commercial use. It wasn't designed for industrial use and manufacturing use. Also, if you take any engineering standards in the outside world other than Rock Hill, the amount of capacity we need is, for that, they're talking about 4,000 to 6,000 gallons per day. It's well in excess of 10.
So basically, the supervisor would probably be coming to you looking for funding for a sewage plant, I'm guessing, if that's the plan.
So that's
He's not,
another,
I never talked to him.
there's
It's on
a,
our backs, by the way, the excess.
well,
So-
there is funding from the federal side that we're looking into, that was given to the states. And this is for sewer and water upgrades, and our district happens to have some of the worst sewer and water systems. It's not necessarily the water pressure, it's the pipes are from 1940, whatever, and they are clay, they crack under pressure. Fallsburg had how many
Leaks.
fires? 2 fires they couldn't put out. So it's kind of countywide,
Fallsburg is
and we
terrible.
need to help the municipalities get that funding.
That
to
fire.
help.
Yeah, and we have
It's
a
fully
public.
funded by the way, budget, it's just the expansion we're talking about.
I would say we also have a publicly regulated water company, and the president of our water companies right there as well, with an aging infrastructure that
Yes.
probably could benefit from
Okay.
those federal funds.
Yeah, so I mean, the most important thing is that you could write to the office and ask, and then, we do see, the senator was just here,
Yeah.
Gillibrand was just here the other day. And she did say if, your community needs anything, and also,
Take her up on
pardon?
it. We'll take her up on
Yeah.
it.
The water company is operated under the association.
It's a, wholly owned subsidiary.
Okay.
of the
What do
association.
you want to say? I'm sorry.
So on the sewer side of things, so Billy's already applied for grant money for this sewer plant as well as several others, and he's received some of that grant money.
Great.
That's right.
So, but the plant is already under design before this Avon Park thing kind of really took off. So there's already been money spent. Delaware Engineering is already doing the design, and it was generally based on our community.
As it is.
The restaurant, and then of course the Discovery Center, which is gonna come in with more flow based on, the hospital
Yeah,
and
what is
stuff.
Pat Dollard saying about this?
I've not personally spoken to him about it. I don't know his position, but I can say, so my point is, as an engineer, so I work for DEP and stuff, and I work in a lot of the water sewer projects. So looking at the plan, and I've talked to Bill years and years about this and several other people, about trying environmentally to run that wastewater plant by gravity, because right now we spend about 80 to 100 grand a year in electricity to run that plant, as old as it is, pumping everywhere, but it's already under design. So now if we add on Avon, you basically have to take all the money you've spent on design, throw it out the window and start over again to design this. And then how do you decide what each ratepayer is going to pay depending on flow?
So
I'm
what
not,
did
I'm
Bill
not
say?
putting, I'm not putting greases and oils or whatever may or may not come from this park here. How do you evenly separate the rates for everybody?
Because of its design, we already pay a substantial amount. Our sewer bill is substantial in this area, so.
So, yeah, the settling tanks and stuff like that, I was there 8 years ago and there's rebars exposed in the tanks, like, it needs help. We have high phosphorus right behind you out that window, which comes from the wastewater plant, so it does need to be dealt with. I gave several design plans, some ideas to them to do. But like I said, you've spent all this money to design it, and you might as well just start all over again, because you're bringing in not only the volume, but an unknown amount of what's coming. We don't even know who may be going in this warehouse or manufacturing, what's coming our way to that plant. So that's the issue. So I have spoken to him quite a few times about it, but that's sort of where we're in limbo. So it does affect us as a community.
Sounds like more opportunities for more conversations.
Pardon?
Sounds like more opportunities for more conversations.
Yes.
Assembly member, I want to thank you for your time. I don't want to hold you up anymore. I'm sure you have a lot to do, and I want to recognize budget season, so thanks for coming in the middle of that.
Well,
Getting any state legislative.
I leave at 5 in the morning. I'm not one to stay up. I get up. I'm an early
You,
riser.
you commute back and forth?
And if
Well, sometimes I do, LAs do come home. Sometimes I'm not a go-router at night.
Right.
And I love my spot in Forestburg. I live on Sackett Lake Road, do you know it?
Yeah.
Do you know
That's
where I
great.
live?
No, I don't, but
So I know a lot, when I came to this area, my husband's family, we lived in Santa Barbara, that's where we went to college. And we came here, and my first thought was, after traveling I was from the Bronx and I'm from New York anyway, but I came and I thought, oh my God, this is in the middle of nowhere. It's terrible. So his great grandfather bought land. They have about 600 acres of land way back when. And so we still have it.
wow.
And we still have it, but it's forest preserved. So now we're about to give it away to Forever Wild with the usage of the land. But my father-in-law and his father before him, when they came here, they had a 100-acre pond in my backyard. And it flows into Macaulay Pond, and then from Macaulay Pond, it goes right into the Rio, which is the clean water that people drink.
Mhm.
And so with that in mind, and knowing and looking at, you know, the power of water and what it, you know, how important it is to everybody. And it's been that important that my children now are chipping in on the paying, you know, the taxes and everything. But, you know, I think that we have to look into the future. Like I think about my grandchildren and coming back here and, you know, a sewer that's overflowing. And then you have the quality of air. I mean, people love it here because you can get out up in the morning and you're gonna bring that kind of traffic. And what does that mean? And I'm not a rocket scientist, I'm not, but I know our roads right now in the summertime, they are packed. They are packed to get from Orange County, where the toll booth is, and people are going further upstate. So it's sometimes they have to look at the infrastructure and just say, we just can't do it. And and again, you come up here and I know you can't get any help.
I feel like I just watched an episode of Yellowstone.
I just go back a minute. You asked about Patrick Fowler, how he feels. So far with us, especially the Nice Beach Water Company, some of me, it's been very helpful. He's involved with other projects.
He's got a lot of views.
Right, so I just want to make sure that goes out there. I don't want anything negative, I want, things are working for us.
Yes, Patrick's been very helpful with a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff going on in the water company with tank infrastructure that we have to rebuild, and he's been very helpful with that.
And he's somebody that also in Albany has a lot of clout.
Exactly.
And also
That's why I want to make sure that.
Yeah, so he's got lots and lots of clout. Because the people on his board are they're all environmentalists. And they're all have these phenomenal jobs.
Influential.
Influential, yeah, that I can't believe it, but yeah.
This was fantastic. I just want to thanks again, Councilmember.
I hope I was able to give you enough information, but
Yeah.
again, like if there's a meeting that you need with the DEC or something, we can always get people over to my office in Albany. Like if it ever comes to that, we can do that.
Okay.
And, as far as the money and Billy, I'll talk to Billy, but as far as any funding, we do have capital funding, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
I'm looking at you.
Take a break. Everybody on the Zoom, we're gonna take a 2-minute break as the Assemblywoman leaves, okay? Give us 2 minutes. Everyone on the board, on the Zoom, we're getting everybody back to the table. So give us 30 seconds, 60 seconds to get everybody back to the table and get back on the agenda.
Alana, I hate to interrupt, but we're ready to rock and roll. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Assemblywoman. All right, folks. we're picking back up on our agenda. Next up, we're going to talk about pet rules, pet waste cleanup standards. We've had a number of inquiries from folks in the community with poop and things that they're seeing around people not picking up after themselves. Look, part of this is common sense, folks. We do have rules and regulations for the HOA when it comes to the dog park, when it comes to the streets. You need to please pick up after your pets, but this is really common sense and common courtesy. Be a good neighbor, be a good pet owner, pick up the poop. But
That's a good slogan for a compete.
I'm sorry?
Pick up the poop.
Yeah.
And
But-
just one thing with that,
Yeah, go
Patrick,
ahead.
if you know who it is, let us know. I mean, we don't call them up and say, hey, Patrick, Dan said your dog is shitting all over the place, so we can handle it within, so just let the office know who it is, and we will not divulge our information of where it came from.
It's
Right,
really
like,
nice.
I can attest as a pet owner.
Fender.
I've been to the dog park and it's like dodging minefields over there. It's bad. And you know what? There's no reason for it. There's a station there. It has bags. You could dispose of it. Just be considerate of your neighbors. I also don't know if it's necessarily strictly Emerald Green residents. There could be people from the outside that are using that facility in particular,
So,
Yeah.
the dog park. So we might want to consider a swipe on that.
There is, once we got.
Oh, yeah.
It's all, every gate here.
You know,
will have a swipe.
It's not ready yet. So this was brought up in the oversight committee. I can say that the folks who was on really brought up some pretty smart ideas, I think more than just what we would think. Two of the ideas that came up was a request, probably have to be surfaced to you, Dan, around putting up a wildlife camera in strategic places, because I think it's not just over here where we have our dog park, but down Old Sackett and Lake Shore, just those main track areas where people are walking. Do we have a sign, something complimentary, pick your poop, something catchy like that.
Yeah.
And then on the sign, have the dog bags. Again, it impacts the budget, so we have to get your approval. And then just, it's something that we shouldn't have to do, but we almost have to do. And this is for the board to bring, we need to just send out a notification via email or our official Facebook page of this issue, and just try to appeal to people's common sense and courtesy that this is impacting our quality of life. Those are the three common things that came out.
It sounds like a good starting point, not to
Yeah.
jump in, but
Yes.
to that, maybe a good starting point would be if we could possibly get a letter sent out
Exactly.
in mass, that would be step one. And then,
Well, take
I
it,
don't know how far we want to go with enforcement of poop, but
take it a step further if we're gonna communicate to the community. We were walking around recently and, on a nice day and stumbled over here. And my wife and daughters and myself picked up about 30 empty bottles on the tennis court, on the pickleball court, just littered with empty plastic bottles. Again, there's just no reason in the world for something like that. You don't shit where you sleep, folks.
Why do you use the word? We're talking about.
Pick
poop and shit?
pick it up.
What are you talking about?
Pick it
I
up.
think-
It's just not
I think we
considerate.
got the point.
Yeah, I think the overall concern is, as we are moving more towards the transition of the community, opening up the Unitarian, it's important that we start being stewards of our community. This came up when Patrick brought up an issue that had been surfaced through a couple of community members. We saw the email to the community board just around feces. I want to be careful about making shitty comments. Feces around our community. And we probably need to, like you said, then take the first step. I also, it was brought up on the oversight committee, want to be very careful and mindful about the whole reporting and fines, because I think it's a slippery slope. I just think we need to start somewhere. but also we don't have signs throughout the community, just reminding people of just, scoop your poop and then have some type of bin and bags. I think
There's
that
your
would be
sign.
the second thing.
There's your
Yeah,
sign.
I just to summarize it, wrap it up. Hillary, I see your hand up, but I'm going to ask that community members hold all your questions to the end of the meeting. I'm sorry to do that, but we do need to kind of move things along. Just to summarize this, I think rather than on the spectrum of wholesale being the poo police, we really do just need to encourage folks to have common courtesy. It's not only courtesy for your fellow neighbors, it's for the health of your animals too. I mean, it's just absolutely unhealthy and absolutely unsanitary for the animals as well. Wildlife, pets, whatever. So I think we get the point. All right.
Will someone be forming up a letter or something to send over to me?
Yeah, that's going to fall to Earl.
Yeah, okay. The poopers.
It is an oversight issue.
So
sorry.
that was kind of where, just to close this issue out, perhaps the Earl on behalf of the oversight committee could
Yes,
just
sir.
type up a letter, send it to Brittany, and then Brittany will share it as an oversight committee request.
So what we'll do, we have our committee meeting coming up for the month on Tuesday. We have a couple of top agenda items. I'll make sure that this is agenda item number 4, and we will walk away with some framework, and by the end of by the end of the month, because next week's I have some things to do, but by the end of the month, say the 31st, based off of myself, Alana, we'll come back with a formal draft to you.
And that'll be pretty timely given the change in season. All
Correct.
right, let's move on to the financial review. We need to approve the 2023 financials. Board members, that is tab 2 in your board book. Dan, you want to give us a quick summary and then we'll vote?
So just as a quick recap, total expenses were over for the month of 15,000. Considering what we just talked about with the add-ons for insurance and our ongoing issues with NYSEG on our side as well. We were projected to be over budget by $40,000 for the month. So I would say that that's not a great position, but it's a much better position than we could be in. Cash management continues to trend upwards for the association. So just want to let homeowners know that a lot of the concerns and everything we shared over the summer and into the fall, cash management is definitely liquid. We're becoming a very solid, financially stable association. We have started paying down our construction loan. So instead of just paying interest, now we're making our monthly payments. So the balance of that loan is continuing to decrease. Our golf course loan is down to $93,000. So roughly 9 months left to continue to pay on that. Our dues income has been progressively increasing. This looks a lot like some of our homeowners are continuing to model good behaviors and get up to date on their dues. So we thank everybody for that. Prior months, we did have some concern regarding payroll and everything like that, but it looks like a lot of that has been managed and appropriated correctly. So our payroll for the month has been roughly $5,000 under. So that was a good chunk of where we were able to leverage against some of our increases.
Dan, can I speak on that, please? So I know from a board perspective, we've been pretty prickly. I'll use my partner's name nomenclature to the management office about just trying to ensure that we are as sensitive as we need to be from a monetary perspective. I think a lot of times we set expectations, but when they meet the expectations, we don't take the time to acknowledge them and say thank you. So to the management office, we ask you all to do a lot with a little. And I personally, and I can speak for Patrick, and I've talked several times over the past few days, we appreciate the effort. I took the time to have conversations with both Michael as well as Brittany, briefly talked to Valerie. We expect a lot out of the board, out of the office. And when they deliver, we just say, okay, cool. We never take the time to say thank you. They had a lot of pressure put on them, just assisting us to get out of this situation. So I can speak on behalf of Patrick and myself. I'm out of pocket correctly. Thank you. Thank you.
Great job to the team. Yep.
Ditto, awesome.
We had a struggle the month prior that, as we discussed in January, when it came to those bullets, and they reversed course and got us back on track. So thank you for that. We did run under on the security budget, so we had a little bit of savings there of $5,000. And some savings there of janitorial service and supplies of $1,500. So a lot of those were help leveraging our overage on the insurance. So thank you to the
Could I-
staff.
Yes.
Can I just ask a question? I guess it has to do with the revenue streams. With the slowdown in the real estate market, how are we doing with transfer and construction? Are we still seeing,
We
you
haven't
know, good
slowed down
influx?
here. Yeah, we haven't slowed down.
We have, okay.
There's been some houses that closed this past week.
Yeah, no, so that's great news for the community because that's money in the coffers.
Yes. Any other questions for Dan? Hearing none. Oh, sorry, Chris, you do have your hand up.
Yeah, just tracking back to the insurance costs. You know, I think I've already spoken to this, but I really do think that we need to keep that figure in mind as we go forward and look for concrete areas of savings. I think we're heading towards summer, and that's where the association spends most of its money. So I mean, and this is also related to questions that members also care about, like when do we open the pool and how, what are the pool hours? I think we need to see, I would like to see some concrete numbers around those summer budgets, particularly in relation to the overages that we've already seen this year.
It's fair.
It's fair and a good point. I think now is the time to start looking into that, because by the time we meet in April, we'll want to be in a position to start making decisions about opening dates and all that sort of stuff.
I'll get right on NICEAC to see if we can get it.
To that point, Patrick, is your thought that we as a board would probably have an executive session from a budget and just really focus on summer ramp up?
Yeah, I think we need to have a couple of workshops.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Dan? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the financials?
Great job, Dan. Motion.
Second? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Accusals or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Quick recap, we also submitted for all board members the month of January. Have we voted to adopt January's
Is that not what's in the packet? I'm sorry.
financials?
I thought that I'm looking at.
Isn't that what's in tab two?
We did February, because of the meeting.
I see.
So
we need to get January.
If homeowners, so I would be inclined to vote for, or
Yeah, everyone's seen them previously, Dan circulated the January numbers as
Multiple
well. You're right, I forgot we didn't take a formal vote on that.
so I don't want homeowners to think that
Any-
we're missing a month.
Yeah, no, fair point. Anybody have questions on January financials or call that not being a problem? I'm prepared to move forward with that. So I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Accusers or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thanks, Dan. Some important clarification. Also, board members, in your board books, tab 3, with thanks to Brittany and Michael, is an update financial summary on our specific to our collection of the assessment amounts for the revised capital assessment. Dan, if you just 2 seconds as or whoever, 2 seconds as an update and an overview of the highlights there for the community, and then we'll move on.
So as everybody knows, during the assessment, we were projecting to spend about $516,000 to complete the project. Our assessment went out at $438,000 to the homeowners, and we have received $388,000. We have spent of our $216,000 in aged payables. We've spent $204,000. The reason why we're not complete on the $216,000 is because we still have some opportunities for one of our contractors to complete. There's been another $120,000 worth of work that has also been continued. So we've paid out $325,000 as of this point. So we do have some balances there to complete, and some other obviously jobs that we have to get done as well.
Questions for Dan on that? All right. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris, yes.
And Michael, just to make sure I'm reading the report that you gave us right, am I right in interpreting that we actually took in substantially more during the November assessment than we projected for? Because I think we projected at something like 664 homes paying. We had a pretty substantial kind of non-payment.
8%.
Right, but we took in a fair bit more than we expected. Is that true?
And a lot of that had to do with, there were, I don't think we put it on, there were quite a few homeowners that paid in full.
Pay the entire assessment of them.
The entire assessment, there was 9 homeowners and 3 lot owners group. Yeah, so that's where some of that extra come in, and plus we did have a few changes from lots to homes. Probably about 4.
We had a few folks ask for some payment arrangements, and I don't know how that factors into the 8%.
Not on this.
Okay, but I mean, that's positive because there's additional income there.
It's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah, so that 8% that we accounted for, Chris, is, you can unmute to, it looks good.
So I mean, I think with respect, I think some of that additional money did come from, in my math at least, which is not always perfect. I recognize that some of that did come from homeowners who paid the lump sum fee, but we also just received, in my reading, we received a lot more sort of regular 550 payments than we thought we would. And I guess the so what there is thinking about, you know, that's good news on having the funds to complete the project as we deal with these additional contingencies. You know, I think I wanted on the record that we really do need to have an open discussion about these various pools of money in the next budget season, any kind of surpluses we have in assessment revenues that are collected, the TNC, the capital reserve, and I think we need to make a clear decision about how we apply those funds to actually paying down the debt.
Before you get ahead of yourself there, I just want to make sure that you're understanding the numbers very specifically. It's $65,250 is the equivalent of those 9 homes. So that is money that has to be appropriated through the 10-year term of the loan, or if we decide to cut it down. So that's not necessarily right now additional. It has to be staggered out throughout the term. So it's $65,000 extra because 9 people paid in full.
Yeah, you know, first of all, I just asked to kind of speak as peers here, and like I can do math too, and I think that what I'm seeing is that, you know, we projected a pretty high non-payment rate, and it's not just, what I'm saying is the kind of the November assessment, we collected more money, not just because people paid the lump sum, but because more homeowners paid than we thought would be able to pay, which is good news. I mean, again, my math could be wrong there, but I think we have more money than we thought we did.
Well, what happens too is a lot of homes have been selling as well. So those some members that weren't paying in the past have, you know, now they're paying. So that has a lot to do with the turnover of the homes as well.
If you want to sell your home, you have to be up to date, you know, so.
Or when it's sold, we get paid.
Yeah.
But moving forward, some of those statistics on the non-payers from 2 years ago or a year ago they're still there because their homes have sold.
Right. Chris, just so that we're all understanding, I'm not speaking just to you, I think it's to the whole community. That $65,000 that Dan suggested, it's not extra money. That's money that's set aside for this specific project. It may look like extra because we have it now and we didn't anticipate having it now, but over the course of 10 years,
it still has to be aggregated.
We figured that we would have that and collect that. So that's all earmarked for the project. Correct?
Yeah, it's making those payments over the term of the loan.
Aggregated.
All right,
Let's go.
Okay, any other questions for Dan or anybody on the assessment? All right, hearing none, I want to move on. Just a quick update, Dan, on the start again. Quick update, please, Dan, on the ongoing audit of our 2022 financials. My understanding is it's moving along quite well, and we will not have to wait until the fall. We'll actually have timely audited financials, or at least we're expected to this year.
Yeah, and at least this time, yes, true. And this time we have a person that we can communicate with directly, Caitlin. She's working on the audit right now. Talked to her last week about any questions, concerns, any opportunities that we may have. So all that information was provided to her. She's working on the audit, and I did give her the idea that we don't expect to be in the same timetable as last year. So she hopes to do the same, and hopefully we'll get a good quality service out of this and move along quickly for the homeowners.
Great questions for Dan. All right, we're gonna move on to our water company topic. Alan, before I ask you to give an update, I want to just put out there. So there, with the unfortunate and untimely passing of Ken Herfield, there is a vacancy on the Emerald Green Lake Louise Marie Water Company board. Under the EGLLM's bylaws, it is the job of the EGPOA to appoint directors at an EGPOA Board of Directors meeting. It also says that all vacancies among the directors, this means that the water company board, including but not limited to vacancies caused by the removal for cause, shall be filled by EGPOA. That's our board. There's, just for folks' knowledge, there are 5 directors on the water company board. And qualifications are that each director be at least 21 years of age, and no employee of the water company or EGPOA may serve as a director. So we have this directorship vacancy. The board, the remaining board of the water company, has spoken to a candidate they would like for us to consider. That candidate is Zach Siegel of our board. But we want to make sure, for good process, that we open it up to see if there are other folks in the community who may be interested in this position. It doesn't have to be an EGPOA board member who's assigned to that role, but it is our responsibility as the EGPOA board to vet and ultimately make that decision with, you know, in conjunction with our friends of the water company and what their needs may be as well. So if you're interested in applying to be appointed to this position, what we're going to do is ask that you submit an expression of your interest and probably a resume to us within the next 7 days. So by the end of the day, next Sunday, which is the 26th, if my math is right, of March, we'll close the sort of nomination period, if you will. After that, it's not a formal nomination, but you understand. And the EGPOA board will then review and take next steps after that. It's our goal to appoint a member for the water company board as soon as possible. And the water company board has asked for that. I think that they feel like they could use an additional voice in there right now. So that's where we are. Anybody have any questions, comments?
Are you gonna
Great.
speak? Do that.
One thing also.
Yeah.
In the past, it wasn't just Emerald Green residents that were on the board. The president of Lake Louise Marie, being that they're in our service area, was on the water board for many years. So you may want to open it up to all users.
That is a good point. I'm not mechanically sure how we do that, how we can sort of announce that, but if anybody has a bright idea how we can.
Do they have an email listserv
Yeah.
that you know of?
Well,
Does the Lake Louise Marie community have a listserv?
Or does the water company have?
we send out our bills
Wait,
electronically. You can
Yeah.
send out a notice.
We can certainly get a hold of all of our users.
There you
So
go.
we'll send an
Matching
email
now
through
done.
that.
Alice?
Yes, in the past, I know our president brought it up just now, we've had members of a member, actually, it was the president of Lake Louise Marie, but that didn't do anything for us. If you go and check our history, Lake Louise Marie refused to pay anything towards the water company, okay? So I'm gonna go against the grain here, you guys, whatever. I'm gonna make a motion, okay? I wanna make a motion that we vote for Zach Siegel today. our water company and our management team, we're all about, like we just said, to have relationships in the community. This gentleman's company has a relationship with one of our biggest customers, that's going to be one of our biggest customers, which is the diagnostics, the Center for Discovery. Okay, and they were a big help to close the gap for us to make the deal. Okay, I feel that moving forward, he's a young man, he lives here. I'm probably going to be out of this next year. I don't know if I get voted in again. Fine, I would love to, because the reason I became a board member was to make sure. There was a lot of rumbling about, oh, we're going to sell the water company. That would be a mistake. But anyway, that's for another day. And I would like for this to do this right now, because there's nobody in this community. It's got the relationships with the town or with this young man has.
Appreciate that, Alex. We're certainly entitled to make the motion. Is
While
Chris?
we're on that topic, Alex, just so we all understand, I don't think anybody here wants to say that Zach wouldn't be a good candidate. I personally feel Zach would be a great candidate for the water company. I think that everybody's using an air of caution and making sure that we just provide people with a time frame, so that way we're not just saying this is it and then.
Yeah, we've never done this in the past, but it's okay. If you guys want to change the rules going forward, no problem. But we never done this in the past.
Chris?
And we've been operating for a long, long time.
Chris?
Anybody else from over here? Anybody going to second this? Yes, no?
I'll second.
Moving
Wait,
on.
hang on. Chris?
Yeah, I would note that the motion doesn't have a second yet. But I think, so first of all, I will never vote for a candidate who is not a resident of Elmore Green. I think EGPOA is the vast majority of the users for the water company, and EGPOA owns the water company. Emerald Green should control the water company. But you guys do what you want on that. I think, when I was running for a seat on the board in the fall, one of the commitments that I made, and I think many of my colleagues made, was to more transparency in the governance of the association, including our oversight of the water company. And so, Zach, I will be happy to support you. And I think your appointment to the board would be even more favorable in light of a competitive process in which we solicit interest from the community as a whole. We have lots of people who may be interested, maybe not, but I think we should at least take a week and invite community interest and see what comes up. I think that's part of our commitment when we ran for these seats.
Okay. Earl, did you?
Yes, I second.
Second the motion. So the motion's on the table. We can have debate on it. I would just say, however this goes, if it is not approved now, Zach, it's not a rejection. It's really just let's give it a week, but, and that's how I intend to vote. I'm not in favor of doing it right now, but Chris, you have your hand up again?
I'd ask for a roll call vote on this.
Okay. Anybody else want to comment? Ilana?
I would like to mirror what Chris said. This to me is not, it has nothing to do with Zach in particular, who he is as a candidate. I just think we should, this is a process issue. EGPOA has the ability to oversee this process, and I don't want it to miss that step as it is outlined in our bylaws. I know it might have been done differently in the past, but I think that we owe that to the community in terms of what we promised them. And this is a big piece of oversight. So leaving it open for 7 days and then calling a special meeting to vote on this doesn't seem unreasonable.
Can we just get Zach's opinion on this?
If you want.
No
pressure.
No, I think we have to be, as a board, we have to be in unison, and I'm not gonna force it, so I appreciate the remarks, and if everyone's on board, great. If everyone wants to, I just want us to be cohesive, and we have to be cohesive for the community.
Yes.
So I
I
think that's a big
apologize.
piece.
I was out, so the thought is it's gonna be a 7-day moratorium and come back in 7 days.
Well, it's
Okay, all right.
7 days where
We're gonna accept applications,
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
resumes.
I was out, okay, so.
well, you already seconded, so we'll have to take it up. So,
Does it have to be at a board meeting, so it's gonna be in April?
That's the only thing.
We
'Cause I
can
don't-
call a special
Call a
meeting for that
special meeting.
purpose and do it by Zoom.
You could probably do it next Sunday. Or
Well, let's see what we get. We'll figure it out from there, but we recognize the urgency in the request, so we're not gonna drag our feet on this. All right, so any other debate on the motion before us? Any other questions? All right, so Chris requested a roll call vote. Chris, you want to call the roll?
I'm here, thank you. I am on Zoom, but I can be treated as an adult. Thank you so much. Patrick?
You're a little prickly today, bro.
All right.
He's not that wet.
Go ahead, Chris, please.
Patrick?
Yeah, no, sorry.
Earl?
Yes.
Dan?
abstain.
Tom Gans?
Abstain.
Joel?
I vote that we open it up to the community to see who wants to be on the water.
And
board.
that's a no.
Okay, so no.
Alana?
No.
Alex?
Yes.
Jack?
No.
Al?
No.
I vote no. We have 2 in favor. We have 6 against and 2 abstentions.
And the abstentions count more or less as a no, not carrying the motion. All right, the motion does not carry. So we're gonna, again, we'll have the 7 days for folks to submit any expression of interest. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you think you'd be a great candidate, and we'll revisit the issue promptly after that window closes next Sunday.
Where are they sending?
Look at it.
Please,
The president.
yeah, please submit your applications or expressions of interest to me, and I'll make sure the entire board gets it at pkennel@emeraldgreenpoa.com. All right? All right.
We'll share that with the water board too, as they. come in.
Yes, absolutely. Alan, quick update.
Again, we have looked to fill the seat. We did sit down with Zach and thought of a few other people, and he does check all the boxes, so we'll see what else comes up. This obviously all came about because of Ken's passing, and I think it'd be remiss if we didn't back up here a little bit. I mean, we're meeting in this room now mainly because of Ken. He was sick for quite a while, and he worked his butt off to get this project moving and done. I mean, he was really like a contractor's worst nightmare. Anybody that was involved, I mean, a nail is sticking out, any of that stuff. And he knew he was sick, and he may never see these buildings open, but he just plugged away and kept going. And as president of the water company, I mean, he turned it around. It was in a bad state at one point, but we're heading in the right direction. Sold some property, getting new customers, and like I said, heading in the right direction. And just a thank you to him for what he had done. Moving on, this week we had a service disruption in the middle of the night. I want to thank Anthony and Michael getting out there. It wasn't a water main break, it was actually a computer.
Yeah, computer issue, with the storm, it burned up one of the.
Okay, unmute.
The opponents in the computer.
Now
So
you have
we
to-
were able- Luckily, it happened at 2:30 in the morning. Out on the west coast is where where the equipment's from. Their technicians were still available, and they were able to get in and make those adjustments that had to be done. But it had to do within the seconds that before the generator kicked on when the power went out. So that's what it was from.
I want to thank, I mean, it was resolved basically before most people woke up, so that was good. Also, we're in the process of putting together a new Facebook page, but just for the water company, so that, again, like if there's a service outage, we put it on Emerald Green website, again, like Louise Marie doesn't see that and stuff like that. Plus, we'll be able to outages, just stuff about the water company, ways to save water, things like that. And I guess, some of the reports that we get, the, water quality. So that should be out in the next few weeks.
Are you gonna be the admin?
Okay.
And then, Brittany,
Just so you know, Chris is the secretary of the board.
Okay.
I didn't know if she
That's
had
good to
something to say.
Yeah, let's, when Alan's finished, then Chris will recognize you, and then we'll go from there.
And just one thing again about an open position, I guess it's a little bit of, you gotta be, like Alex said, being around in the community. Just this week, I was in a business in Monticello, and the owner talking to his employee, and they were talking about somebody in Rock Hill looking to open a business, and the town was giving them trouble about their wells. I just happened to be there, and I said, "You guys need water?" And we got into a conversation, and it was just, it's got to be out there, and it's a business, and we're trying to grow, and any input certainly appreciated.
For the people who are interested, what are the top 3 things you're looking for a new board member, just so they know?
I mean, first is availability, make meetings and stuff, knowledge of the community
Can I
and
clarify something? When you say availability for
Full-time, full-time, we need full-time residents.
well, we currently have members who are not full-time.
Okay, fine, but you're asking us what we want for the water company?
Full-time.
That's what we want.
That would be your preference. Okay.
yeah, I mean, knowledge of not just Emerald Green, but Rock Hill. Because again, but not just Emerald Green. Those are really the 2 things.
I want to acknowledge Chris from the Water Company Board.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Okay. I was the one that sent Patrick the original email about Zach. And I think in there I listed all the reasons we felt that he would be a very good asset to both the Emerald Green Board and the Water Company Board, because he would be a good liaison. I just want to know if, when you get all these resumes, if you get resumes, will the Water Company Board be involved in the choosing of the person, seeing that this is going to be somebody that we're going to have to work with? Normally, when it was somebody that was appointed by the board, we were knowledgeable about the board members, and normally they came from the board members of the Emerald Green Board. So I would like to make sure that we are involved in the choosing of the person, because you've got to remember, this is a utility. This is a public utility. We answer to the PSC. And it's not something where you would normally put out your votes for your board. Ours doesn't work quite that way. So I just want to make sure that we are kept in the loop and are involved in it. Thank you.
Chris, what I can commit is that we'll share that information with Alan, so that it gets to you guys. The decision rests solely with the EGPOA board. So when you say involved in the decision, I want to make clear the expectations. We're not going to ask for your vote. We're not going to ask, that you put your fingers on the scales, but we're also very sensitive.
Okay, you're frozen. Michael, come back. He's frozen.
We can't hear you, Pat. You're frozen.
Thank you, Joel.
I don't know if he heard me.
I don't know if you heard me.
Rich is laughing, so I guess Rich heard us.
I think the people on Zoom can hear it, but the board seems to be frozen.
I'm going to send an email to Alana now, telling her she's frozen.
Good.
Hey, Chris, while you're there,
Hi,
it's Rich Brown.
I know.
I'll ask you my question. Have you submitted a request for commercial rates, which I suggested months ago?
I believe Michael has, basically, from what I understand, and you can confirm this with Michael or correct me.
This is Brittany from the meeting. Our picture went out, so we're just working on getting the picture back. So if you could just hold your comment for like 2 minutes until we get our picture back on, that would be great.
Can you hear us there?
I can hear you through my computer, yes, but.
Okay, okay. Yeah, now we can hear them. You know,
The good thing is we have early, these are IT. Dude, I'm trying to fix it, it's got me plugged in.
I think it's the IT guy that sabotaged.
No.
Job preservation.
I think this could use a little bit more to see what you think. That's what mine felt like when I took it out, but okay. We can leave it in, I mean, it's not gonna hurt it.
He's on, he just moved. He hoots when he's away.
You guys won't be able to see it if you log in. Yeah, because it's a short somewhere. Everybody.
Did you hear from Marcy?
No.
Okay.
Was it your?
No, it's mine.
Are we set to go?
I think so. Chris, can you hear us now?
Yes.
Thumbs up. All right. Alex, if you want to rejoin us, we're ready to go. Sorry about that, folks. Another technical difficulty. Our monitor here in the boardroom conked out. I have the Zoom up now on my computer, can see who has hands raised. And I got it, the owl's working so you guys can hear me. All right, Chris, just in answer to your question, and Alex heard it as well, we're gonna follow the bylaws, but certainly we're gonna keep the water company board apprised of what, what submissions we get, what we're considering, and how the deliberations are going. That's what we can commit to do. Joel, you had your hand up. Alex, you're good?
No,
Okay, Alex had his hand up, so I wanted to recognize him. He's good. Joel, I'm gonna recognize.
Okay, thank you. I apologize, but my dog had to go for a
Ask
walk.
that members of the community, non-board members, please hold your questions until the end. I know that seems a little out of sequence, but we really do need to do that. We're already here at 11 o'clock. Joel.
So I apologize. I had to step out. My dog had to go for a walk and I used a pooper scooper to clean up. Anybody
Hang on just a
interested?
second, Joel. We got one more issue we have to solve, which is to get the volume in the room up.
Okay.
Maybe we can hear it through your laptop.
Could.
You gotta do the speakers.
No.
Go back down to the speakers.
How's that?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay, Joel, quickly.
Can you hear me? I just lost your volume. I don't hear you guys.
Go ahead, ask your question, please, Joel.
Okay, sure. So I apologize. I was out. I had to walk the dog. But when we talking about the money that was collected in advance, could we take part of that money that would be earmarked for the loan and pay that off towards the loan? So this way it doesn't get used up on something else?
we can talk about that, Joel. We're way off that topic.
I know. I had to walk my dog. I apologize. I'm home alone.
I don't know, but we'll talk about that.
Okay, fine.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Alan?
Yeah, I have one other one. Where's the financials for the water company?
We didn't get to them yet. We've been on the audit. I should have them early this week and I will email them around.
Okay.
Quick question. So you mentioned you have checking all the boxes and stuff for people who are putting their resumes in and stuff. What are the boxes that you're looking for?
Well, I mean,
I think.
I was not building.
yeah, I mean, we'll make one up like tomorrow.
No, I think that's what Chris had said. that it-
No, Lana asked you.
Oh.
He
sorry.
said that they
And
do
then
local
crashed.
and that they know the area.
Business person, kind of, in this case,
That would be your preference.
yeah, I think it's a good practice that you have another board member. Well, not necessary, but.
Okay. And able to attend meetings.
And just to clarify,
Yeah,
this
a
is
couple of months.
This term is till
March 2024. 1 year. Okay.
Oh, and just point back.
Yeah.
With the new, we kind of did a reorganization, Alex is vice president.
Congratulations, Alex.
He gets a raise.
Yeah, right. All right, Alan, thank you very much. Alex, thank you too. We're gonna go on. Okay, we're gonna move on to our committee reports. I'm gonna ask the chairs of each of the committees to please keep your reports as brief as possible, recognizing the time. Before we begin, I'm just gonna address this and put this out there because there's a lingering question as between the Lakes Committee and the Oversight Committee, and particularly the boat docks, boat slip rules. A document got out there inadvertently, which is a one person's first draft of a thought. There are no rules that the board is considering right now. There's nothing that's coming before the committee before the board to vote on right now. We need to work out between the chairs and co-chairs of those committees exactly who is going to bring whatever proposal, if any, before the board. So if you're wanting to comment about boat slip or dock rules, you can hold it because we just don't have anything to consider at this point.
There's no changes.
There are no changes, but the conversation is just getting started in those committees. We got off to a little bit of a false start, but look, we'll get that. These things happen. We'll get that all worked out. But again, there's no change afoot. There are no things that we're going to vote on today. So with that,
When's the oversight committee?
Oversight Committee is meeting Tuesday. Alex? Yes.
The reason why we're doing this is Rich Brown is not a board member.
No, because it's unclear which committee should have responsibility for dealing with the issue and want to get that sorted out with the chairs and co-chairs. Haven't had a chance to visit with the both of them together. And I think it makes good sense that it should only come through one committee, and whoever's going to take the reins, that they do so in the proper way, and then we can come back and forth for that. Has nothing to do with any particular individual, any individual's viewpoints.
No, Rick's not raised that.
Yeah.
Because I see here. Rich Brown's co-chair, but it doesn't show like who's the chairperson.
So Tom is the chairperson of our Lakes Committee because of Rich's deep involvement in many years of service. He should and rightly is helping to lead that committee, but because our bylaws prevent us from formally appointing a non-board member as a chair of a committee, which is something I think we should change, but hey,